Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're totally breaking down the sheer complex machinery of the modern economy and translating it into a clear, understandable blueprint. If you've ever looked at the global market and wondered how all those crazy moving parts actually fit together, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to lift the hood, inspect the wiring, and see exactly what makes the gears turn. Here's our agenda for today's operator's manual. First, mapping the economic engine. Second, inside the public sector. Third, the 1991 system upgrade. Fourth, global nodes and hybrid engines. And finally, executing system optimization. Let's jump right in. Section 1, mapping the economic engine, the blueprint of commerce. To really get how modern commerce operates, we have to look at the macro-level architecture. Think of the entire economy as a giant interlocking machine where every single component has a highly specific job to do. It's kind of like a massive city. It needs private efficiency, public infrastructure, and global connectivity, and all of it is routing through the exact same motherboard. When we zoom in on the Indian economy specifically, there's a really distinct structural division. Think of it as the primary operating system split. On one side, we've got the private sector. That's everything from sole proprietorships to massive multinational corporations. On the other side, we have the public sector, which is made up of departmental undertakings, statutory corporations, and government companies. They share the same economic grid, but they run on entirely different operational codes. So, what's the real difference here? It all comes down to what drives them. The private sector is engineered strictly to maximize profit. That is its fuel, its lifeblood, its singular focus. The public sector, though, it's programmed with a much heavier mandate to generate social welfare and build the nation's foundational capital. It's that classic balance between pure, raw efficiency and structural equity. Moving on to Section 2, inside the public sector, the heavy machinery of the nation. The sheer scale of the public sector's output is literally massive. We're talking about generating the foundational capital to fund the entire nation while simultaneously creating these huge networks of employment. Fascinatingly, it also acts as a great equalizer. It ensures underdeveloped regions get the utilities they need to catch up, all while pushing heavy investments into modern technological advancement. This is the bedrock upon which everything else is built. But here's something that might actually surprise you. Not all public entities are built the same. For example, a departmental undertaking, like the railways or the post office, is directly controlled by a ministry. It has almost zero financial autonomy because it relies entirely on the government budget. But then you look at a government company formed under the Companies Act, and it operates almost like a private enterprise. It boasts up to 90% flexibility and draws its funding directly from the market. It's pretty incredible how varied the public sector's toolkit really is. Which brings us to Section 3, the 1991 system upgrade, shifting from legacy to modern architecture. Let's be real, no engine can run on legacy software forever. Before 1991, India's economic architecture was seriously bogged down by heavy industry, exclusive state monopolies, and just really rigid, slow development. The 1991 economic reforms acted as a massive, sweeping system update. It completely replaced those old smokestacks with a sleek, modern architecture built specifically for operational autonomy and global competitiveness. Basically, it swapped out closed borders for a highly interconnected global framework. So how did they actually pull off this massive upgrade? Well, they used 3 key protocols. First, the government granted real operational autonomy using memorandums of understanding, MOUs, giving managers the actual freedom to make real business decisions. Second, they restructured struggling, faulty public enterprises through the BIF, which is essentially a diagnostic and repair system for sick companies. And third, they realigned the entire framework to unthrottle the economy, gearing it up to handle the high-speed demands of international trade. All right, Section 4, global nodes and hybrid engines turbocharging the system with international capital. Now that the foundational system was upgraded and unthrottled, it was finally time to plug into the international grid. Think about the gravity model of multinational corporations. You've got a centralized home country headquarters acting as the primary gravitational force, dictating overarching policy and control. Meanwhile, it reaches outward to satellite nodes, its foreign affiliates, dynamically pulling local resources from host countries while strictly following the parent company's master framework. It's centralized command paired perfectly with decentralized execution. Ever wonder what gives these global enterprises their immense power? It's pure technological superiority. I mean, a staggering 75% of their output in specialized divisions is pushed directly into research and development. That leaves standard operations at just 25%. The vast majority of their energy goes into continuous product innovation, advanced tech, and maintaining intense global quality norms. That is an absolute powerhouse of a metric. So how exactly does a nation safely harness all that explosive global power locally? We use what I like to call hybrid engines. Things like joint ventures where local and foreign entities pool resources to diversify risk and share advanced tech. Or we use public-private partnerships, the ultimate hybrid engine that merges the social responsibility of the government with the lightning-fast operational efficiency of the private sector. Finally, Section 5. Executing system optimization, diagnostic protocols for the focused learner. Understanding this massive economic architecture is great, but how do you actually optimize your own study engine to master these concepts? Look, every system has bugs, and your study routine is honestly no different. Are you ignoring your accountancy foundations? Your resolution protocol is to practice journal entries daily using real-world transactions. Underestimating business studies? Start mapping those theories to real-world scenarios instead of relying on rote memorization. And if you're neglecting your math and economics diagrams, the fix is immediate. Execute regular calculation drills and label your micro and macro diagrams every single day. Let's run one more critical diagnostic. If your vulnerability is overlooking your core texts or just doing irregular revision, your system is basically going to crash right before the exam. Actually, scratch that. It will definitely crash. So the absolute crucial point is this resolution. Master your core NCERT textbooks first. They are your primary blueprint. Everything else is just secondary. And you absolutely must implement weekly revision protocols to ensure all this data is firmly saved in your long-term memory drive. When all these components finally perfectly synchronize, we get a fully operational, integrated economic engine. The inner core is supported by the public sector, laying down the baseline infrastructure and social equity. The middle rings represent the private sector, spinning with agility, profit-driven efficiency, and local market solutions. And the outer rings? Those are the global enterprises, injecting massive capital and R&D to keep the whole sphere glowing and turning. Truly mastering commerce requires understanding how all three of these perfectly synchronize. And that brings us to the end of our diagnostic run. You now understand the mechanics of how the modern world is really powered. You've seen the public foundation, the private efficiency, the massive global scale, and you know exactly how to optimize your own study of it. So I'll leave you with this ultimate question to ponder. Now that you hold the blueprints, which part of this massive, incredible economic engine are you going to build? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep your systems optimized and keep learning.